Hey y'all, welcome back to another video. This series on decluttering and minimalism is something that I talk about this all day. When I say all day, I do mean I could talk about this all day. I have for at least a decade been into living small, living with less, not having clutter in the home, just decluttering everything and minimalizing. I'm also very much so into tiny living. Listen, tiny homes, RVs, vans, all of that. Having a house would be nice, but in today's market, having a house is more of a liability than it would be an asset. Okay. I'm talking about a house, not an apartment. I currently live in an apartment, but I'm talking about like a house where you're paying a mortgage, not rent. Okay. It's more of a liability. But tiny living is something that I have seen for so long. I'm just like, to not have to worry about a monthly payment, especially if you're RV or tiny home or van is paid off, not having a monthly payment other than like gas and like upkeep here and there, like come on now. Like that to me, I feel like that is more so of the life I would like to live, Yahuwah willing. Okay. And because it's been on my heart for so long, I'm thinking that that's something that will happen in the future, preferably sooner rather than later. This series, I really want to talk about declutter and minimalism because that is something that is not talked about when it comes to following Yahusha or living out your life in the way that Yahuwah has commanded you to. Declutter and minimalism is heavily associated with that. If you look at the life that Yahusha lived, and not even just that, if you look at the life that a lot of people lived, their life was very minimal. Yes, they had riches. If you think about the Old Testament and you think about, Abraham and you think about Lot and Job and all, yes, they had riches, but they lived a very simple life. They didn't have a lot of things as far as material things, right? They had a lot of land, yes. They had a lot of animals, yes, and servants and things like that, but you don't really see, them having a lot of clothes, a lot of like just material things, just having stuff, right? Whatever they had, it was of value, right? But a lot of times, I think in today's time, we have a lot of things that are not of value. We have a lot of things that we think are of value, but they're not. We have a lot of stuff everywhere. So each video is going to be on a specific area in our life that we need to declutter or minimalize. And what brought this on is I'm reading this book called The Minimalist Home. And it is something that I have been wanting to do since we moved into this apartment, which we moved into last July. So I recently, over the past week, have done a lot of decluttering, a lot of donating, a lot of throwing away things that I'm just like, I wouldn't want to give this to somebody else. Like, why would I do that? And just really cleaning and decluttering my home. Because the less stuff you have, the less you have to clean, the less you have to put up, the less you have to figure out where it's going to go, right? The less you have to do all of that. And that's me. The less I have to do all that, the better. And also, it's helpful for my son because we did go through his toys, which we'll talk about in a later video. But we went through his toys, and I gave him the commission to do that because they're his toys. So he was in charge of getting rid of toys that he did not want or he was not going to play with. So we've been doing that for the past week or so, and it feels so good. I do have some more things that I do need to declutter, which we'll talk about later on. But right now, for this video, I want to really just get into scripture. So this first scripture is very familiar to y'all, Matthew chapter 6. And it is verses 19 through 24. And I'm reading out of the CSB. And this part is called Elohim and Possessions. Don't store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in Shemayim, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves don't break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eye is healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. So if the light within you is darkness, how deep is that darkness? No one can serve two masters, since either he will hate one and love the other, or he will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve both Elohim and, I think the word is mammon, which is wealth, or in this translation it says money, but I know the word is mammon. So you can't serve both. You can't serve both Yahuwah and the things that you have. When he says, don't store up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal, that is tangible things. All of this stuff that we see around us is going to go away. This stuff is not going to be here forever. We should not have attachment to anything that is tangible, that we can feel, that we can touch, like a pen or a notebook or my Dutch brother's coffee, right? So, all these things on earth, we cannot have attachments to them. If you're storing things on earth, if your heart is with these things on earth, then how do you figure that you can be on the new earth in the new kingdom? You would have nothing there. You would have no purpose there if what you're wanting are the things of this world and not the things that are to come. So, having a lot of things in your life, a lot of clutter, a lot of things, okay? Because the thing is, with decluttering and minimalizing, it's not just tangible things. There's also things that are not tangible. I don't know the word for that. Is it untangible, intangible? I don't know. But the things that you cannot see, there's also clutter there as well. Like I said, we'll get into that. Each video will have a different topic. But you don't want to store things here on earth, because if that is where your heart is, there's no place for you in the kingdom. So the things on earth will be destroyed. And if that's where your heart is, you will be destroyed along with the earth. Okay? That's not me. That's what it says. Okay? I'm just telling you what it says here in this book. So, where your treasure is, that is where your heart is. Our heart should be with the things that are coming from the Shemayim, not the things on this earth. Luke 12:15 through 40. And this is the parable of the rich fool. This is like one of my favorite parables that Yahusha gave, because it was just like, bruh, really? Okay. Someone from the crowd said to him, Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me. Friend, he said to him, who appointed me judge or arbitrator over you? He then told them, Watch out and be on guard against all greed, because one's life is not in the abundance of his possessions. However, a lot of people think that. They think that their life is their possessions. Their possessions show how good their life is, how well they lived, how much money they have, what type of person they are. Your possessions do tell a lot about you. Then he told them a parable. A rich man's land was very productive. He thought to himself, What should I do since I don't have anywhere to store my crops? I will do this, he said. I'll tear down my barns and build bigger ones and store all my grain and my goods there. Then I'll say to myself, You have many goods stored up for many years. Take it easy, eat, drink, and enjoy yourself. And there are people who think like that. They think that, oh, I have way too much stuff. Why don't I just get a bigger house? Right? Or I don't have anywhere to put these things. Why don't I go get some bins to put them in? Right? Or if they have too much stuff in the house, oh, let's just put some stuff in the garage. But then you can't park your car there. A garage is for a car, not for your things. Okay? So there are people who do that. Or even with like a storage space. They have too much stuff in a storage space and they accumulate more stuff that they can't keep in the house, and they go put it in a storage space, but then the storage space is too small. What do? They get a bigger storage space instead of getting rid of things, donating, giving to people who need them, right? And if you look at the amount of storage units there are just in the United States, we're not going to talk about worldwide. We're going to talk about just in the United States. It is diabolical how many storage units there are. Absolutely crazy. But Elohim said to him, You fool, this very night your life is demanded of you, And the things you have prepared, whose will they be? Now think about this. If there's a person, right, they have kids, and this person has a whole lot of stuff, right? And so all this stuff that they have, when they die, that stuff becomes the responsibility of their children or family members who are left behind. How selfish is that we would have to deal with that? Who wants to do that? Not me. Not I don't want to deal with someone else's stuff, especially if it's a lot of stuff. Listen, open house. Come take whatever you want. Just take it all. I don't want to have to deal with that. So being in that mindset, like you have a whole bunch of stuff. Think about when you die, all this stuff that you have, who is it going to? Do you think your children would want it? Do you think other family members would want it? No. When I pass, the only thing I want my son to think about is grieving and using the life insurance money to go on with his life. That's it. I don't want there to be stuff that he has to worry about. The less, the better. Okay? Let's continue. That's how it is with the one who stores up treasure for himself and is not rich toward Elohim. Then he said to his disciples, therefore I tell you, don't worry about your life, what you will eat, or about the body, what you will wear. For life is more than food, and the body more than clothing. Your life and your body is worth more than food and the clothes that you have. Those things are, granted, they're important for survival, but it's not something that should be so important that you're like, oh, I need to get me a new outfit. Oh, I need to buy all this food. Oh, I need to store up all this food. No, Yahuwah will provide everything for you, just like he did with them in the wilderness. My son and I just read that chapter. I think it's Deuteronomy chapter 8. I'll put it on the screen if I'm wrong. It's Deuteronomy chapter 8 when it says, remember Yahuwah, when you were in the wilderness, he fed you. He put you in the wilderness to test you, to see if you would fully trust in him. Trust that he would provide everything that you need. Your clothes didn't wear out. Your feet didn't wear out. Your shoes. You had food. You didn't have to worry about anything. Nothing. Right? Consider the ravens. They don't sow or reap. They don't have a storeroom or a barn, yet Elohim feeds them. Aren't you worth much more than the birds? They don't have all these places to store all these things like we do, but he feeds them. They're fed. So why do we keep all these different things as if Yahuwah is not going to provide for us? Can any of you add 1 moment to his lifespan by worrying? If then you're not able to do even a little thing, why worry about the rest? Consider how the wildflowers grow. They don't labor or spin thread. Yet I tell you, not even Solomon in all his splendor was adorned like one of these. If that's how Elohim clothes the grass, which is the field of today, and is thrown into the furnace tomorrow, how much more will he do for you, you of little faith? Don't strive for what you should eat and what you should drink, and don't be anxious. For the Gentile world eagerly seeks all these things, and your Father knows what you need, that you need them. The Gentile world, meaning the world, these are things they go after. These are things they run after. They chase the bag, right? We don't need to do that. Yahuwah knows what we need. He will always provide. And this has been something that he has shown time and time again in my life, that I don't need to be chasing money to buy things. He will always provide. And he shows up every single time. When I'm looking at my bank account, like how I'm about to buy groceries, he shows up one way or another. He shows up. How he does it, I don't know. I just thank him. But seek his kingdom, and these things will be provided for you. Don't be afraid, little flock, because your Father delights to give you the kingdom. Sell your possessions and give to the poor. Make money bags for yourselves that won't grow old, an inexhaustible treasure in heaven, where no thief comes near and no moth destroys. For where your treasure is, there your heart will also be. Be ready for service and have your lamps lit. You are to be like people waiting for their master to return from the wedding banquet, so that when he comes and knocks, they can open the door for him at once. How can you open the door for him when you are worried about all the things that are in your life, all of your possessions? When all these things are on your mind, how can you be focused on when Yahusha is coming back? How can you focus on that? How can you be ready when you have all this baggage? Think of Lot's wife. Blessed will be those servants the master finds alert when he comes. Truly I tell you, he will get ready, have them recline at the table, then come and serve them. If he comes in the middle of the night or even near dawn and finds them alert, blessed are those servants. But know this, if the homeowner had known at what hour the thief was coming, he would not have let his house be broken into. You also be ready, because the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect. So it doesn't matter if it's the daytime or it's at night. When Yahusha comes, will you be ready? Or are you going to think about, oh, I need this, I need that, I need to take this with me, I need this, I need all these things. He's going to leave and you're going to be left behind. No. Think of the 10 virgins. You had the 5 who were ready and the 5 who were not. They were not prepared. They're like, oh, we have time. We don't have to worry about that. Then they asked the 5 virgins who were ready, and they were like, no, go buy the oil and then come back. But when they came back, what happened? The door was closed. Think about that. The last verse I want to get into is Philippians 4:11 through 12. Paul's appreciation for the support that he was receiving. He said, I don't say this out of need, for I have learned to become content in whatever circumstances I find myself. And that is what we are lacking. We are lacking being content in certain circumstances, and we will try to do any and everything to get out of those circumstances. Well, if you can't be content with little, then how will Yahuwah see that you're content with a lot? Why would he do that for you? I know how to make do with little, and I know how to make do with a lot. In any and all circumstances, I have learned the secret of being content, whether well fed or hungry, whether in abundance or in need. I am able to do all things through him who strengthens me. Still, you did well by partnering with me in my hardship. So I read an extra couple verses, but you get the point. Be content with what you have. You don't need to have a whole bunch of stuff in order to feel like you're okay, that you're not going to lack anything. If you obey in Yahuwah and you trust in him, you're not going to lack anything at all. He's not going to let you lack. So I am looking forward to this series on decluttering and minimalizing, because it is a topic that is like so near and dear to me, because it's something that we don't really realize, especially with being in a church. It's all about prosperity, prosperity, prosperity. But that prosperity is like tangible things, material things. That is not what we're supposed to be prospering in. No. That's all I have for y'all.